Come gather round the fire and hear a tale of old, of the gods of Norse, the Viking gods, and the foes they did behold. You have asked to hear the tale of Tyr the mighty god, and of Fenris wolf, who was just a pup when they first found him, and was of course of Loki's monstrous brood. So how did the tale begin? Well, so the stories say that Loki, that mischief maker, was the one who started it all, as he usually does. And so Odin found in his dreams that something wasn't quite right. And he called Loki to him and asked him what he was up to this time. And Loki, trying to look ashamed but really looking pleased, admitted to the Allfather that he had been in Jotunheim and had 3 new children. The first was Jormungandr, just a tiny snake when he was born, but grew to be the Midgard serpent, which circled the world round. The second was a daughter, half a beauty and half a corpse. Her name was Hel, which means the grave, and Odin kindly allowed her to rule the underworld below, the queen of the dead, the queen of her realm, where many went after they died. The third was just a pup, and Tyr was his favorite, just a wolf pup. His name was Fenrir, or Fenris wolf as they sometimes refer to him. And when they brought him home from Jotunheim to Asgard, Tyr would play with him all the time. He'd let him nuzzle up next to him, and he would be the only one to feed him. The rest of the gods were too afraid. Who was Tyr? Well, some people believe he was one of the mightiest of the gods at one time, as his name in Norse means simply the god. And Tuesday is Tyr's day. And so we know that Tyr was important. Oaths were sworn upon his name, and bonds were made that could not be broken. Tyr is remembered as being the just god, the god of justice. And when they took Fenris wolf, away, because the gods began to be a little uneasy at how large he was growing, from the size of a wolf pup to a full-grown wolf to a bear, and even bigger until when he opened his mouth, the top would reach the sky and the bottom reach the earth. And they began to be afraid. So they devised a game. They took Fenrir to a place far away from Asgard. And they said, "We have a game for you, Fenris wolf. Let's see how strong you really are." And they had fetters made for him, the strongest they thought they could. And Fenris wolf lay down and let them bind him. And easily, he broke the chains. "I am the strongest of them all," he howled, half like a god and half like a wolf. And so the gods went back again. They forged even stronger chains. Each link was so heavy and so strong that a man could not carry it himself. Fenris Wolf was a little more concerned. He didn't know if he could break these ones, and the gods hoped that he couldn't. But he allowed himself to be fettered again, with the thoughts of victory on his mind, and of showing how strong of a wolf he was, the strongest of the gods. And he struggled and he struggled, but in the end, with a mighty struggle, he snapped free. The gods were now quite scared. What will they do? They asked each other. Because Odin had had a dream that in the end, in the Ragnarok, at the end of time of the gods, it would be Fenris Wolf that would come and devour the moon, the sun, and kill Odin himself. And so they sent an emissary, one of the elves, down to the dwarves and said that they needed to commission them to make the strongest bindings possible. And the dwarves required a steep price, but the gods were willing to pay it. And they needed the most obscure ingredients that they could find to make these fetters. And so they had the sound of a cat's footsteps, the beard of a woman, the roots of the mountain, the tendons of a bear, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. You say you haven't heard of these things. Of course you haven't. They were all used in making the mighty bindings that would hold Fenrir. And so the gods took these light as a feather, silken cords, and said, Fenrir, we have even more difficult task for you. And Fenrir, he wasn't sure he trusted them. These looked so simple. He said, how will this make me look strong? Anyone can break a silken cord like this. Then why are you scared? They asked him. Not scared, but I smell trickery. You would not be asking me to do this if there was not some enchantment at work. You are scared, they taunted. Well, prove it. Prove there's no trickery. Have one of the gods place his hand inside my teeth. And if I snap them or if you let me go, then I will not harm the god. And if you do, then I will bite off his hand. And then you will show me that there's no treachery at work. The gods all balked. None of them wanted to put their hand in his mouth. They knew it was a trick. They knew that they were breaking the oath that Odin had made to not harm Fenris Wolf, to let him go. Only Tyr, who had played with Fenrir Wolf as a wolf cub, was brave enough to come forward. And so he put his hand into Fenris Wolf's mouth. And the gods fettered him with the silken fetters of the elves. And no matter how he pulled, how he tugged, how he howled, Fenris Wolf could not break them. And the gods laughed, except for Tyr, who sat there with his hand in the mouth of Fenris Wolf. And when Fenris Wolf saw that he could not break the fetters and that the gods had tricked him, then Tyr nodded and he bit down. And that is why Tyr only has one arm, one hand. The other one was given up to justice. And they bound the wolf, and one of the gods thrust his sword through the top of Fenris's mouth so that he could never close it again. And the saliva turned into a river flowing from his mouth, and there he will stay for the rest of the time until the end at the Ragnarok, when he will finally be loosed, and he will fight the gods along with Loki and along with the giants. And it will be Fenrir Wolf who will be the end of Odin. But until that time, the gods laughed. And that is the story of Fenris Wolf and Tyr, the god for whom Tuesday is named. And I hope you will join us next time for another story about the Norse gods. If you liked what you saw, be sure to subscribe and check out our website in the link below. And we will keep bringing you stuff from the Viking era as we continue to explore and see what new stories and tales we have to share. So we'll see you next time.